What's up guys, this is Miasin. So today I wanted to share you guys a few interesting techs that you can explore in the Blue Eyes deck in case you're kind of tired of playing it the exact same way other people are playing it as well. This deck is obviously it's a dragon deck, so it's a deck that has a very large card pool, a lot of room for potential and innovation. And I think over the years we're going to see a few changes being brought into this deck. It could easily turn into like a hardcore combo deck, which I think is already super doable right now. You can play several engines in it, and several very good competitive engines as well. You can play pretty much every single good engine in Blue Eyes because it's not a deck that really restricts you or anything. You can easily, play things that aren't even dragon in your deck and really, take, make the most out of them. But yeah, before we go any further, you all know the drill. Smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. And also, please check out my website for my Blue Eyes and Crystron spreadsheet. The link will be in the description box below as always. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, I really wanted to talk about Ringworm, the dragon guarding the 100 apples. I don't even know like the full name. I actually just... I only know that the name is Ringworm. This card is super interesting. It is a level 2 light dragon tuner that can special summon itself if there is a face-up non-effect monster on the field, not necessarily on your field. And also it says non-effect monster, not necessarily normal monster, so it includes like Nibiru. So if you, the Nibiru token. So if you nib your opponent and then you give a token to your opponent, then you can special summon the Ringworm from your hand. And again, it is a dragon, so you can easily make Hyeratic Seal or the Spirit with Eyes of Blue Link 1. And in the graveyard, it has a really interesting effect where if you synchro summon this turn, at any moment you can banish it and then summon a 100 apples token that is this time a worm, not a dragon, which is kind of relevant. And it is level 2, and it is either a tuner or not a tuner depending on how you want to use it. So yeah, that's really cool, and since it is a level 2, it easily opens up the door to Chaos Angel plays. The only drawback is that your deck is kind of like a light attribute deck, so it will only be like the light attribute flavored Chaos Angel, which is still good enough. But I think one of the coolest things that you can do with Ringworm is not only have like free materials to make Hyeratic Seal, but also make Bystial the Spatter. And this card is kind of really broken because let's just say that you get Veilered, or you get Ogred, or you get Bystial, then you can out the Bystial, and then there's now a light or a dark in your opponent's graveyard, and then you got your own Bystial, you Bystial your opponent, and now your opponent has a banish card, and if you can summon Bystial the Spatter by summon number 5, using this card and Blue Eyes White Dragon, you now have a way to actually negate Nibiru. And not only that, but Bystial the Spatter is a completely cracked card. Like, even if you're not trying to negate a monster effect, this is still one of the strongest synchro monsters in the game. It has a really broken effect, and I'm sure you're going to be really happy resolving like an effect to like revive back your Blue Eyes from the banished in case you only play one, and it did get hit by a Bystial. So yeah, there's always cool things to do with Bystial the Spatter, and it should be relatively easy to summon in your deck, even if you're not playing like Ringworm, just because there's some other monsters that can easily synchro into this card. And the next one is Assault Synchron. You don't necessarily need a dragon tuner for that. It's any tuner and any non-tuner dragon. But this time Assault Synchron, even though it's very similar to Ringworm, because, it's a level 2 that summons itself, the graveyard effect doesn't generate a token, but rather, whenever a face-up dragon synchro monster you control is tributed or banished, you can banish Assault Synchron and then revive back one of the dragon synchro monsters that was tributed or banished, which is kind of broken. I think one kind of drawback with Assault Synchron is that while it is on the field, you are locked under synchro monsters only, not like for the rest of the turn, just while it's on the field. And also you do have to pay 700 life points, or rather take 700 damage when you summon the Assault Synchron, so it might actually get you a little closer to time. But with cards like Ancient Fairy Dragon searching potentially Secret Village of the Spellcasters, this shouldn't be much of an issue. You can still win in time, so it's not something you should be too focused about. And yeah, this card allows you to really recover from Nibiru, and also it's searchable by tuning because it is a synchron monster, and tuning does mail the card on the top of your deck, which can be good or bad depending on the situation. Like sometimes when you mail like a Maiden of White, it's fantastic, but then when you mail like your Mausoleum of White, that's a little less fantastic. So yeah, kind of try to play around with the ratios if you like tuning, or if you don't. If you want to, you can play 3 Assault Synchron, don't even explore tuning. You can mix Assault Synchron and Ringworm. And like I said, the fact that it's a dark monster this time means that you can do 2+8 into Chaos Angel, light and dark, and a lot of decks simply cannot out this. It's basically imperm or bust, which is kind of concerning actually. But yeah, huge fan of Assault Synchron, really recommend looking into it. But yeah, next up we've got Starleech Seifert, which is kind of like a classic in Dragon Link. You can easily search like a level 4 or a level 8 dragon. And there's a bunch of options for sure. So with Safe Earth, you can search Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, which, I mean, the card's fine. It's not something that you should necessarily play in Blue Eyes just because you can, but if you want to explore it, then be my guest. Chaos Dragon Levineer off of pitching at level 8, that's cool, but it's kind of like more of a win more, I guess you can say. You don't really need a card like this. Dark Hand Evaporation Dragon is a very, very interesting card, and I think it's the kind of card that also over time is going to start seeing more play. This card can be a board breaker going second, which is nice because you can summon it and then destroy a monster on the field going second, so you can break boards, but it doesn't deal with Detonator because obviously it destroys, it doesn't send. Otherwise, I think this card will be like a 3 of in every single Blue Eyes list. But the fact that this card can fuse using like itself and Blue Eyes White Dragon into Light and Darkness Dragon Lord is definitely something worth exploring. So yeah, it's a really cool card, like I said. I mean, it's just a card that overall is good in Dragon decks. Like, it's going to be good in Dragon Maid, I'm sure of it. It could be good in Blue Eyes. It could be good in Dragon Link. It's just a nice card overall. Bystial Lubellion, also super good card in Dragon decks overall. But I think this is actually the best one so far because you can actually argue that the Bystial engine in Blue Eyes is like top competitive level. Because obviously the Bystials are fantastic cards. It's one of the strongest engines in the game right now alongside Fiendsmith and Kashtira. So obviously you have a huge advantage if you're playing the Lubellion on top of the other Bystials and not just the Bystials, because this time your Magnamut, it can search Lubellion, which can search Jew's Worm, and then you actually send the Detonator to the graveyard, and then you also place the Regain, and you just do so many things. So yeah, Lubellion is absolutely goated. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is another brick, unfortunately, so I really understand if you don't want to play Blue Eyes Jet Dragon in your deck. However, this card is relatively easy to summon. You know, you can pitch Sage with Eyes of Blue in your hand and then target any monster, pretty much, and then send it to the graveyard and summon Blue Eyes Jet Dragon from your deck. And then while you have Blue Eyes Red Dragon either on your field or in your graveyard, then it gains a bunch of effects. So, well, the first one, the continuous effect, is always active, but the effect to, like, revive itself back from, well, the hand or the graveyard whenever a card on the field is destroyed by battle by card effect, you gotta have Blue Eyes Red Dragon somewhere on your field or graveyard for that to happen. And also at the start of the damage step, if this card battles, you can target one card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So I think you've guessed it, but this card is insanely good in, like, a grind game against Raziel. As a matter of fact, I even want to compare this card to, like, Fire King High Avatar Garunix. So, I mean, oh my god, no, Fire King Sacred Garunix. Oh, whatever, you get the point. Like, the one that, you know, keeps coming back from the graveyard. Bro, they all keep coming back from the... Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say, right? The 3 of, not the garbage 1 of. Okay, actually, even, like, the other one was a 1 of. Okay, look, the one that Din Kabui played as a 3 of. Yes, this card is relatively identical in a way, kind of. It's kind of like the Garunix of Blue Eyes, but, again, it is another brick, so... You gotta weigh the pros and the cons, but if you want to play like an 8th brick in Blue Eyes, I think this is the best brick that you can play. Because you can also play Master with Eyes Blue, which is not a bad card, but again, it is a card that on its own does nothing. So I think if you want to play over 40 cards, then you can start justifying playing more of these combo pieces that are not necessarily great for you, but also not like, you know, super terrible. And also one thing that you could do, right, if you really want to push it, you don't up the amount of breaks that you play, but you cut Blue Eyes White Dragon to 1, and then you replace the second Blue Eyes with 1 Jet Dragon. That way you have a lot of recursion. The only drawback is that now you actually start losing to Bystials much harder. So again, you gotta weigh the pros and the cons. Anyways, I'm kinda gonna fast forward from here. So Dragolithia Kunitse, I think, oh my, Kunizite, yeah, I completely butchered it. Yeah, this one doesn't exist at the current moment, but it's just a matter of time before it will, and by it will, it's probably in like 10 years. If it's not in Alliance Insight, it might be like an Animation Chronicle or something whack like that. But yeah, it's actually a really cool card when we will get it, so you can just summon it from your hand basically almost for free by pitching a level 7 or higher normal monster from your hand or deck to the grave, and then in the graveyard you can banish it and then revive back a normal monster, but then you can only use one effect per turn, only once that turn. If you could use both effects in the same turn, yeah, this card would be like ultra mega super broken, but unfortunately that is not the case. Anyways, the Bystial Lulubra as well as Felon of Albaz, these cards are broken against the dragon-based strategies. So Bystial Lulubra, the actual effect is really good because when you normal or special summon, you can discard a card and target one dragon monster in your opponent controls or in the graveyard. Well, you send the Bystial Lulubra to either take control of the monster, so you can literally revive back an opponent's dragon or steal a monster, Or you can, yeah, actually, that's exactly what it does. Yeah, so, yeah, it's a cool card, but it's not, you know, it's fine, it's fine. And then Fallen of Albaz, but also it's always treated as Fallen of Albaz on the field or in the grave. Fallen of Albaz is another insanely good card against the dragon-based strategies. Even though like its effect might not look like it does too much, but it's actually really good because you can go into Albaz, the Abyss Dragon, by contact fusing. So if your opponent has like a Hyeratic Seal, Double Spirit Dragon, and like the whole family, you just don't care. You set your Fallen of Albaz and then you contact fuse. So I think just because of that, Fallen of Albaz is better, because if you set your Fallen of Albaz, your opponent cannot go Drill Beam, Negate and Banish, cannot go Hyeratic Seal to bounce back because it's only for face-up cards. So it's a safer way to break the board. Therefore, I could even see like Despia kind of making like a resurgence into the metagame just because Albaz is one heck of a power card. But yeah, Fallen of Albaz is a card that I think even Blue Eyes could take advantage of. And yeah, Super Poly is obviously very good. I mean, this has like a Super Poly-esque effect, so naturally Super Poly is going to also be good against Blue Eyes. You could look into playing like a Tenpai Dragon engine in Blue Eyes. It's not necessarily bad. It's just that how are you bridging into the Tenpai Dragons? You would need to like go Hita and then Crash and stuff like that. But going first, at the very least, you can say they're extenders so that you can make Hyeratic Seal. It's not necessarily terrible. And even if you draw like a random Tenpai Dragon, you can still normal summon it. You make the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, and then you play from there. So if you feel like your deck is way too fair, way too mid-rangey, then just play like 5-6 Tenpai Dragon cards in your main deck, and then now all of a sudden your deck is no longer fair. It is now a deck that can OTK out of absolutely nowhere. But yeah, Shining Star Dragon, another really cute card. This one, less relevant options, but yeah, you can revive back a Dragon Synchro in your graveyard at any moment on your opponent's main phase. Its effects are negated, and if you want to, you can quick sync into a monster using this card for a Dragon Synchro. But again, there's not that many options because this is a level 4 tuner, and then you can use like a level 1 non-tuner in the form of Maiden, or you can use Blue Eyes White Dragon, which obviously is a level 8, so you can make a Crimson Dragon, and then you can tag out the Crimson Dragon, target the Blue Eye Spirit that you just revived back, and then you can make a level 9 Synchro off of Crimson Dragon. And now you might be thinking, but Yaxine, there's not a lot of good options. Well, one really good one is a Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. So this card, as long as you're not tagging out to summon this card and chilling 2 or higher, it's going to be fine. However, if you do, you're going to miss timing, because this is an optional when effect, unfortunately. But yeah, when it's summoned, you can banish up to 1 card from each of your opponent's hand, field, and grave. And it's not like the Trishula ritual monster, so yeah, you can just you can banish it like from 1 or 2 location, and still gonna resolve. So yeah, Trishula is completely cracked. Duality is the next one on the list, another very good card. You can turn your Blue Eyes White Dragon into Burl of Furious Dragon, your Spirit Dragon into Hot Red Dragon or Shred Abyss. You can turn your Blue Eyes Still into Brave Eyes Pendulum Dragon or Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. I think these are very interesting. So with Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, your True Light will never die, and it will never be targetable by your opponent's card effects, which looks like it's not too great, but it kind of gives you a lot of protection, and also it has a 3000 attack, so it's kind of like a big boy. The fact that it's always treated as Dark Magician really doesn't matter, even though it's really cool to have like Dark Magician on the field and Blue Eyes at the same time without even like actively asking for it. This is the one time in your entire life where in your competitive career you could literally summon both, but yeah, it's not really Dark Magician. It's just that the name becomes Dark Magician. But yeah, it's a cool card at protecting your True Light and your Floodgates and stuff like that. And Brave Eyes Pendulum Dragon, this card while it's on the field, you negated the activation of effective monsters with 0 attack, so it can hurt you, but it will cripple your opponent, especially if this is a Blue Eyes Mirror match. Your opponent goes normal summon Sage effect, it gets negated. Activate Maiden effect, it gets negated. And then you get Ashed, it gets negated. You get Veilered, it gets negated. It's actually a really annoying card. It's a really powerful Floodgate, and this card, the Ubel deck, scoop to this card every single time. But yeah, it's a card worth exploring because it's a level 8 Dark Dragon. So with Duality, obviously you just target Blue Eyes, which is a level 8 Light Dragon, and you summon this. And also, at the start of the damage step, when this card attacks an opponent's... at the end of the damage step, when this card attacks an opponent's monster, but the monster was not destroyed by battle, you can banish that opponent's monster, so it has the exact same effect as Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. So yeah, if your opponent has like a Razor Detonator in defense, then you run over, your opponent protects by detaching material, and then you go, okay, Brave Eyes, banish, just like that. So yeah, it's a card that does a lot, but one of the really strong effects is when it's fusion summoned to like change the attack of all monsters your opponent currently controls to 0. But unfortunately, that is not possible because we're never fusion summoning this card. We're really just cheating it out with Duality, so yeah, just keep that in mind. And finally, you can transform your level 1s into Millennium-eyes Restrict. So yeah, the reason why I'm covering this engine is because it's starting to gain a little bit in popularity. So obviously, you know, I kind of knew about it for a while back, just because I have been told about the existence of this engine by a couple of my friends. But yeah, might as well just talk about it now that it's getting a little bit more in usage. But yeah, finally we've got some more Primite monsters and spell and trap cards that you can play. So Imperial Dragon, the monster that you tribute summon on your opponent's turn, it's actually not bad in a mirror match because you play the same attributes as the opponent, so you can easily banish literally everything. So I do like this card. I don't think it's bad. Primite Roar I think is insane if you play the right cards. There's a couple of cool normal monsters that you can summon with Primite Roar. Obviously, the best one is Sunseed Genius, low-key, low-kai, whatever. This is clearly the best because it's a normal monster, but with like a broken effect indirectly. But there's other normal monsters that are very similar. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but yeah, Primite Roar is very nice. And then Primite Scream, this is kind of like a solemn warning-ish when you control a normal monster or a level 5 or higher Primite monster. And then you can also recruit back during your standby phase if you control a Primite monster, but I wouldn't rely on this if I were you. Primite Howl I think is worse than Primite Roar, so I wouldn't really bother looking into this card either. And then finally we've got a few Hyeratic Seal special summon targets. So Quackimeru Drago is a very broken one. Neither player can special summon light or dark monsters. So in a mirror match, this card is broken against like obviously pure dark based strategies like Malice. This is extremely good. So I'm a huge fan of Quackimeru Drago. This card probably should be in your side deck as a one-of if you really respect the light and dark decks, which there's a lot right now. So if you can make a strong, good game plan for this card, be my guest and play it. And then Grantos Dragon, this card, when it's normal special, you target up to 2 other cards on the field and you destroy them, so it's kind of like an Icarus attack. Amorphage Goliath is going to be summoned with 0 attack and 0 defense, but while it's on the field, neither player can special summon from the extra deck except Amorphage monsters. So if your opponent goes normal summon and then run over the Hyeratic Seal into the battle phase, you bounce back and then you actually punish your opponent for doing that. Because now you no longer have a battle phase to run over the Goliath, so even if it has 0 attack and 0 defense, it doesn't change anything. And then if you want to destroy the Tenpai Dragon matchup, you've got a Heliosphere Dragon. So while your opponent has 4 or less cards in hand, and this is the only monster you control, your opponent cannot declare an attack. So obviously this is a battle phase heavy strategy, so it will hurt a Heliosphere Dragon a lot. And then again, for the Crimson Dragon targets, there's a couple of them, so Cosmic Blazar and Stardust Zephyr Divine Dragon are the most popular, but there's also other options worth exploring like Red Supernova Dragon and Crystal Clearwing over Synchro Dragon that is kind of like a 2-in-1 package deal. So not only does it negate pretty much anything, but also one leaves the field by opponent's card, so even if it gets Kaiju'd, so it's very nice in case you just need more protection. You can special summon a Clearing monster from your extra deck, and Crystal Clearing Synchro Dragon is a remarkable card. It can negate a spell and trap card, and it can make itself unaffected by activated effects of your opponent's monster whenever your opponent activates a monster effect. So yeah, this card is super annoying to deal with, just like Crystal Clearing over Synchro Dragon. So if you want like more layers of push against a deck like Raziel, this could definitely be good. The drawback obviously is that it's 2 extra spots in your extra deck, because you know if you play only 1 Cosmic Blazar or 1 Stardust Zephyr Divine Dragon, there's no second card, but with this then you obviously also have to play the Crystal Clearing Synchro Dragon. There you go. Their names are also so freaking confusing. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know if there's other interesting, spicy Blue Eyes deck cards that you are incorporating in your deck, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.